They're doing like 1 million per month. Not anymore, but they were doing like 1 million per month, like 300K per month. So I think it's a perfect strategy for you, the profile funnel, bro. For us, it's like all about branding, like really branding for them as well if they want to separate themselves. But like I think an ad funnel would work for them. I'll show you an ad after. It's like a super good ad where I created like a complete different angle in my content because nobody has run these ads before. And then I have boosted that one through my, what is it called? My business manager. And the other one is just purely through, what is it? Like IG Boost.
And CTA to follow you, or no CTA, just to...
Yeah, of course.
CTA
Of course.
to follow you.
If you're doing book to call, you always need to do business manager. With profile, you need to go to the desktop on your computer. So not on the mobile, because then you pay 21% fees. And you have super good data on the Facebook business manager because your business account is connected with your Instagram account. So you can all the time see exactly what the data is from the boosted reel. You know what I mean?
So it's just like paid, like cold traffic to your profile to get them to follow.
Cold traffic to your profile and then the content does the conversion. And with book to call, it's just like super quick. I think like the strategy that we're pursuing right now with like the Miro, super value-based, educational and transformational, and making story sequences is going to make you the most amount of money.
And then from the appointment setter, big enough.
Yes, you have an appointment setter? Yeah, so what's the KPIs of the appointment setter? Like how many outreaches to the followers? Does he respond to story polls? Does he reach out to new followers?
Yeah, but he's just starting out. He is experienced in the appointment setting, but we don't have specific KPIs because just started out.
Okay.
Like, we have to see how many of my followers are already nurtured and already like qualified leads.
Does he track?
Yeah, he tracks.
Do you have my tracking sheet? Or your own tracking sheet?
We track as well.
Okay, what do you track?
Profile fidget, leaves, and inbound.
You know that when you go on your phone, you have an option that you can check out to be able to see. Look, I'll show you. You go here, follows. You know this, Max?
Yeah.
You click, you see it comes from ad, and then you click like on ad on the side, and then it sees exactly which ad it comes from. So write that down,
Also
bro.
do it for reels.
Yeah.
Write that down.
You can do it for reels and trials.
So let your setter go through all these combos here. You see, for example, started following you from your reel. Click on the side because then you see which reel they come from. So when we start spending money on ads, you'll see, okay, started following you from your ad.
Yeah.
And then
I had that multiple times.
That-
in the past.
yeah, that's perfect. And then track like which people come from which reel because then you know what organically is going well. That's why I have so many views on my organic reels because I know what's working in terms of hook. And secondly, you can see who is coming from what ad. So when you know who is coming from what ad, it's going to be super easy to reiterate that same ad, right? And boost like 10 of the super similar creatives with a similar hook. Just like a slightly different, same body. You run them up and like one will work even better.
Yeah, so for example, you're creating an ad, you see that it's working, you're gonna recreate this ad with just different setting.
Yes, different setting, different background, different location, different hook. Same body, different hook. So your hook is going to be different, slightly different.
But
Slightly
the information
similar,
in the video stays the same.
Slightly similar or no? Completely different.
Test both. So you have 10 different creatives. You do like 5 super similar hooks, but like just some words differently because bro, like the first 3 seconds are the most important. The first 3 seconds is the moment you keep people's attention. And it's either, did I told you that? It's either going to be that they are deciding to continue to watch the body of the ad or they leave. Right? So when you have their attention, it's going to be super easy for them to listen the next 15 seconds. That's why when you run so many ads, people either, they just stop watching after the first 3 seconds or within the first 3 seconds, or they watch the whole ad.
Yeah, got you.
Also, when you run ads, also have always new ads ready. That's so important. Like I think my revenue has never been inconsistent in the past 365 days. Revenue-wise, never been inconsistent. I've never had like a 50K month and then like a 150K month. It has always been like, let's say 80, 85, 110, like 100, 150, 170, like it's super consistent. And that is only because I post consistently on YouTube, on Instagram and on Reels, super consistent. And then also I think it's super important that you always have new ads and new creatives ready. It's never that I have an ad not running. I have like 3 different ad accounts and I always have ads running. And when I know that one works, you always know that around, for me, after 2 to 3 weeks, up to 4 to 6 weeks, depending on the type of ad, it'll go down, the cost per profile visit will be higher, you get less followers from it, like it's gonna be harder to track. That's the moment I already have new ads in place. And then I launch them a week before, So I know that when I have a lot of ads running, I don't create the inconsistency and gap in sales. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's super important.
Yep. So with me, obviously, like we've talked about this a lot, how with my personal brand, it's a lot more selling myself because I'm way more B2C than most of your clients. So how do you think ads would work into something like that? Because with ads, it's a lot of like selling the mechanism.
It's a different market and they position themselves differently than you do, but based on the carousels that you do, which the Gabe is doing for you. What is his name? Gabe? Gab? Okay. He is doing it super well and they're working super well because you get a lot of engagement, likes, and do a CDA at the end, right? Because when they're working organically, make 10 different carousels, 7 steps. We can also sit down and then like try to launch them on the manager. Because on the manager, it's going to be a lot more effective to test, and it's always cheaper on a manager than on Instagram boosting. Always.
What cost per follower are you running at? What's a good cost?
Cost per follower. So qualified follower around $5.50. That's cost per qualified follower for my market. Cost per profile visit like 1 dirham, 1 to 1.2 dirham. So it's like 30 cents US, around that. When you're around that, I think it's a good metric
What's
to
your
see.
split between closes from organic and ads?
That's a super good question. I would say realistically, maybe a little bit more from ads. Yeah, maybe a little bit like 60-40. When I include referrals and like YouTube and like organic and Instagram and stories, I do know my numbers on stories, but it's like, okay, it came from the ad, watches my stories. Do I count them as a story view or as an ad? So like, technically set, I think organic is it will be maybe 50-50. Yeah. But it boosts each other. That's the beauty. My ads work well because my organic is good.
For a high ticket B2B like mentorship offer, what do you think a good sales timeline is? From this is who this person is, like, wow, here's Nik Setting, to
You know what it is? You create the timeline in conversion. You decide if it's like 4 weeks or like 1 week, right? Like you can decide that by how you position your marketing. By how many CDAs you do, by how many stories you post.
Let's say you had to shorten it from what it is right now. What would you?
I don't think shorten it for me is worth it. If I had to, I would do more CDAs. I would for sure post super consistent. And I would probably angle my offer in my marketing different. I would angle my offer more. I would do more of push marketing instead of pull marketing. So like if I expect people to pay me 10K in the DMs, I cannot expect that they'll do that in a week. True. I had somebody join me, pay 10K in the DMs, that was in like 1.5 weeks. And that was one of the fastest, you know, that they made them pay 10K in a week.
And then story, does that work in the same way? Story ads.
Yes, story ads. That's the interesting part, right? Like, I do stories for 2 years. And I think the beauty about story ads is that nobody is doing it. So it's like a new angle. So people click on your story and then they see, you can launch it on Facebook Manager and then you scale it up. And then people see your story and they see the rest of your stories, they get engaged, they follow you. It's text. Because if you do it in video, you can just launch it as a reel. There's no need to launch it in a story if it's video.
So I mean, like obviously I know why, but what's like your logic at least behind not just making like what I do? Well, I know like you're more B2B, but for me, I do like just top of funnel videos and pull in more. If I do a top of funnel like bias for a couple weeks, I'll pull in like a couple thousand to upwards of like 10,000 followers in a month, right? So then should I be using ads for followership too on top of that, or should I be using ads for something else?
You remember our first call, like first call ever, like about messaging?
Yes.
What is the quality of the followers that you get when it's 10K? How many people actually have buying power to pay you $5,000?
Because that's top of funnel.
Right? So who cares about that? Like, I'm not here to become famous, I'm here to become rich. When you get qualified ideal prospects from a specific organic reel, your exact ICP, 7 out of 10, but it didn't went viral, but you still got the quality, that are the perfect things to boost with ads.
So it's basically all your whole ad strategy is just to bring more eyeballs into your ecosystem, bring more people into your ecosystem.
Yeah.
There you are. So
Of course.
Cold to known as opposed to, are there any conversion ads in? Like, there's no book call ads or anything like that?
No, I don't do book calls. I tried that. Who knows? I did try that. Yeah, and like, to be honest, it hasn't given me the desired return. So I was like, yeah, fuck this.
Like there's so much less pre-sold.
It's like for my mind, it's like, if I can get somebody to pay me 10K in DMs that is happy, that is nice to me, that is, instead of trying to fucking sell someone for 3K with a crazy guarantee, why should I do it?
And that was what was happening when you were running your video.
And think about it, like, right? Like last month we made around 170K profit. bro, like to make 170K in profit with a VSL funnel and a huge team, trust me. Not a lot of people are doing that. Like maybe when you're like Sam or Anua, right? Big brand scale, you make more in profit for sure. He makes like $500,000 in profit, but not a lot of people do make 170K in profit at all. At all.
But what makes it different? Like, for example,
No, it's the team. It's the complexity. It's like, bro, I know so many companies doing like 500K per month, but they make like 100K per month in profit. You know what I mean? I make 200K, I make 170K in profit. Payroll, CPA, team, management. Like the sales manager takes 4%, the closers take 10%, the seller takes 5%, which is what we all have as well. But that's my only cost. It's mainly ads that is the biggest cost.
Yeah.
because we are working with a closer and we work with an appointment.
That's not a problem. I work with a closer, I work with an appointment setter. It's just that the ads give a super high ROAS.
He's saying you should prioritize those being your primary, if not only, expenses.
You need to keep a
We
slim
have
team.
coaches, bro. We can't run our info offer without coaches.
When you organically grow more, you run ads, you boost your profile like I do. I have a setter, I have a closer, I still maintain above 80% profit margin.
For our market and the costs that we have, how do we manage to keep like 80%?
So why do you have coaches right now?
Because we don't have the time to fulfill that yourself.
Why don't you have that time? What's the way you communicate the value that you have to them? So how do you deliver your solution? What I do is I do one-on-one, I do a course, I do, okay, what else?
School community, which we also launched a course on.
How much time does that cost? To manage?
Nothing.
No. Perfect, next
we only
one.
have to optimize it.
What else?
One time in 2 weeks.
What else?
For fulfillment.
Yes.
We're having one group call a week with all the students.
One group call a week with all the students.
We host.
Together. Why don't you do 2 calls or 1 call with each, like with one every other week?
Okay.
That saves double the time.
But we also have the coaches and they fulfill everything.
Okay, how many coaches do you have?
2, 3.
Okay, 3 coaches.
I don't think that 80% profit's just not attainable with that.
I'm just not understanding where your time goes because you just described around 3 hours per week of time.
Yeah.
So
our time.
yeah, so you're with 2 people. So where does the other 150 hours go? Or like 100
Also,
hours?
Like for context, like I have a subscription-based like supplement e-com company, and I have a second. Like I still like do all my coaching.
So,
Correct. So let me ask you this: if somebody needs to do something step by step, then you give them an SOP on how to do it step by step. That's the exact solution. So that costs you 0 time. I don't think it's right to have 2 coaches in place with the current revenue you're doing with the info product. I don't think that makes sense. While Max is doing fucking 50K alone, technically, right? Like with setter, closer, and whatever. So it.
yeah, okay, for sure.
So maybe we have to talk about that more in depth, right? Like what the problem is, and that's what we're gonna do.
We pay the coaches when there's a student in.
Okay, so how much do you pay them?
30%.
Is
30%?
Holy shit!
You pay them 30%.
Yeah,
That's where the problem is. Done.
But to fulfill for 3 months.
Yeah. You can pay a success coach like $3,000 per month. 30%. Helemaal gek geworden.
I think you guys
Also overcompensate.
you guys have like an alignment issue where I think what
You have a wrong understanding of how to put pricing on the people that work for you. You guys
are running your info offer like trying to mimic like the mass scale, like hundreds of clients, like education-based business, but now you're marketing it like a niche expert in a niche field. 2 different things. You gotta pick one, and if you're doing this, then you gotta like go
But
niche ICP, niche like
30%. That's like half of the rev share.
Yeah,
Plus
but-
plus
but
closer
Nick,
plus setter.
How are we gonna get a success manager for ecom?
That's a good question. Best place to hire is your own students.
your own student. Get your
That's the best place to hire. That's where I hire. The second place to hire is network. If you say like, okay, so this is the entire infrastructure, whatever, that I built for me to be able to increase my conversion rate with ecom, you get like people that are making 10K per month. And when you get people that are making 10K per month, you get people that pay you 5 to 10K. You get people that already have knowledge and awareness that don't need these one-on-one coaches. So they are satisfied with the course and the group coaching, meaning you save time, you minimize risk, you make more money, they get better results, you get more evidence, you get more marketing. Boom.
Can you can still keep the low ticket offer for the current ICPs you have.
Kijk, die smell van de...
What should profit margins be on a 20 to 30K a month info business versus 100, 250K a month info business?
Let's say $30,000, you should at least profit 20. 66% at least by minimum.
Just like center close.
Quarter of a mil, I would do like 50% minimum. If you do lower than 50%, then like it's not gonna make any sense. You either have too much people in the team, you have too much whatever, right? Like it's not gonna make sense. 100K per month, at least profit 70, right? Setter 5%, closer 10%. I think total you should not spend more than 20% or let's say 25% max on your team. It's literally, it makes 0 sense. Processing, 5%. With like conversion fees, international transfer, domestic transfer, like a credit cards, it's like 5%. Do you bank transfer? Do you have bank transfer? Yeah, easy. Listen, the only people you need to pay rev share are people that grow your company with like exponential input when it comes down to an external task that they do. For example, growing your audience. If you get X amount of followers that make you X amount of money, you take a cut. If you don't run ads and you get people to, run your ads, say like, I'm making 50K per month right now. I want to make 100K. We run ads to get it to 100K. 10% over the extra 50K that you make, not over your current existing revenue. That's stupid. And secondly, you don't even need one-on-one coaches. With group coaching and with course, it's not that the course is bad. It's just that people don't understand how to build a good course. A course is excellent, bro. Like it's like a complete process of an SOP. You provide the right information. You have the right implementation with like the SOP that you build on actions you need to take. People do it. And if they don't do it, it's their fucking problem. And you know what? Setting the standard hasn't only to do with your clients. It has to do with your team. Technically wise, we make content. So like for all of us, if you, whatever, right? Like you make a return, I for sure work. So the return on investment of the work that I do is worth it. I've taken sales calls for like 2 years straight till like 12 a.m. and then sleeping and then wake up at 7, make my fucking Myros, work everything out. Then 10 a.m. like a quick 50-minute pause, get back to work. Bro, working 12 hours per day, every single day. Yeah. No, but like, you know what it is? You can work 12 hours a day or you can just sit behind your computer for 12 hours a day. So the biggest struggle was I worked for 4 hours a day, but I sat behind my computer for 12. The only reason of where I got where I'm at today is because I did it for 2 years consistently and I constantly made it better. It's also important that you look at your outcome. What do you want to achieve? And then make a list, 10 things to do. To achieve that outcome. Write down, okay, who is going to do what task? Can I delegate things? Can I automate things? Are things useful for me to do? I think the only way to become rich is if you do the most high leverage activities. That's content, that's speaking, that's exactly doing what I'm doing right now.